What's up, everybody? Episode 23, the end of the bench show, where the fans go. Got Pat here with me again. It's a weekly spot. Pat and I have a rule for this podcast, Pat. 2-drink minimum. That
Yes,
goes for us.
we
It
do.
goes for every single person listening. So if you're listening right now, unless you are driving, hit pause, go to your fridge, go to the store, get some alcohol. 2 drinks is what you're supposed to finish by the time this episode is over. Obviously, if you're driving, we don't condone drinking and driving on this
Yes, please don't.
on this show.
Pull over, have your drinks. Then once you sober up, get back on the road.
That's true. You can pull over and listen to us, and then yeah, that's a good point, Pat. But yeah, that's our rule. We don't have many rules on the End of the Bench show, but that's our rule for this episode: is you have to drink with us.
Yeah.
Pat, this is the first episode that we have ever done that's gonna actually be about sports.
Yes, it is.
So, we're gonna talk a little Corona stuff, but no bullshit. This is legit sports. It's crazy that we are episode 23, and this is the first time we're actually gonna have a conversation like this. I'm really excited for it.
I know. Same here.
And we have a jam-packed schedule. We're gonna be all over the place. So let's start with what we do best, and that's baseball. So, Pat, with any season, you do all of the division breakdowns for the End of the Bench, so you're very familiar with every team. But, look, when you did the breakdowns, we thought we were going to get 162. Obviously, Corona happened, and there goes that. So we're going to get 60. So I want to know, Pat, and I'm going to give you some teams too, but what teams are you excited to watch this year? Obviously, the Mets for you are not included. If you want to say the Yankees, that'd be really sweet of you, but
No, I'm gonna keep it. We're gonna mix it up a little bit. Ultimately with this 60-game schedule, it's gonna come down to the teams that get off on a hot start and can kind of ride that. Not just the teams that we know that are gonna be good, like the Yankees, like the Dodgers. All those obvious candidates that you see. But there are two teams that I had my eye on when we did the division by division breakdown at the start of the year, and I'm still going to keep my eye on those two teams. And we'll talk about the first team, which I believe you had said that you're keeping an eye on the two, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds. I had picked them, for those who remember, and for those who had read my post about it several months back. I actually boldly picked the Reds to win the NL Central this year. And I don't know about you, Scott.
About that.
That's right, yeah. I don't know about you, but it's just that team just seems like it's in win-now mode. It looks like they're doing everything they can to kind of jump over the Cubs and the Brewers and the Cardinals. And they picked up some good pieces this offseason, like we had talked about. They got Mike Moustakas, Nick Castellanos, their starting rotation is still going to be anchored by guys like Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, who had a bounce-back year last year, first year in Cincinnati. Luis Castillo is still the ace of that staff. And, they still got young guys in the lineup as well, guys like Eugenio Suarez, Nick Senzel, Aristides Aquino. So what do you think?
I'm very excited to watch the Reds. It's crazy that, you basically named 3 aces in their rotation. Sonny Gray is probably the worst ace of the 3. I think that's a fair statement, but he did have a very good year with the Reds. He's back with his pitching coach from Vanderbilt, I think, so that's been really big for him.
Look, I said this even when Sonny was in New York and how poorly he did. Yeah, he did very, very bad. I know it's a terrible excuse, but I really do feel like some guys just can't handle playing in New York with the media and the constant attention, the spotlight, and the pressure that's constantly put on them. Sonny Gray, he did well in a small market team in Oakland, and now he's doing pretty well in a small market team in Cincinnati. So I think it's just the big city pressure that could get to a guy like that. And now that he doesn't have to worry about that part of the game, the media, the backdoor stuff, that he can just focus on what he does best, and that's being a very good starting pitcher and what is hopefully going to be a very good starting rotation.
Yeah, and look, they have Luis Castillo. He's one of the best arms in baseball. He's the Luis Castillo who most likely won't drop the ball for the Reds.
Okay, you know what? I'm
know.
gonna log off now. Thank you for that. You're a dick for bringing that up.
I didn't mention Bobby Bonilla Day in the group chat today. That was John, so I
Okay.
had to get.
All right, you might as well. Happy Bobby Bonilla every day, everybody. Let's just get it off the board because he's the only contract that has deferred payments in the history of the game. Let's just get that off the board right now.
I have to plug in my laptop, so I'm directing Allie how to do it because she's a gem. So sorry.
Well, then while that's talking, I can just continue.
Yeah,
Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah, Bobby Bonilla Day. With the way it looks like it, being having deferred payments through 2035, I believe it is. I forget the exact date. Bonilla and his agent were smart for doing that. He now gets a paycheck every year from the Mets. God bless him. But people also don't forget that deferred contract led to the ultimate trading of Mike Hampton in the 2000 World Series, 2000 NLCS MVP, Mike Hampton. Then he did not re-sign. Mets got a compensation pick, and who did they get using that compensation pick?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
David Allen Wright. Arguably,
I feel like the middle name really wasn't necessary, but
no, it is necessary because people seem to forget that Bobby Bonilla Day is today, but if it wasn't for Bonilla taking that deferred payments and then it ultimately leading to the trading of Mike Hampton and then the loss of Mike Hampton, getting the compensation pick, using that on Wright, and Wright goes down as one of the best position players in the history of the franchise. So, yeah, happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Thank you, David. Thank you for David Wright.
Yeah, and I know my friend Matt tweeted today. He was like, I don't understand why the Mets get so much shit for Bobby Bonilla when
every team has deferred contracts.
That's what he said. It's only funny because it's the Mets, honestly.
I know. I don't have the teams off the top of my head, but I know for a fact that there are several players who have since played who continue to get these deferred payments, but they're not in New York, so they're not going to get that media attention.
Yeah, I mean, Darren
Williams. It's just fun shitting on the Mets, so.
Yeah, Darren Williams had the same thing for the Nets. Well, not the same thing.
I saw that. What was that? I saw that the other day.
That was because I'm pretty sure he retired in the middle of his monster deal, so he kept getting paid. So it was just him finishing out his deal. It wasn't anything crazy.
Didn't they just finish that? Is that what I read? That's finally off the books? Okay.
Yesterday was the last payment.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember reading something about that. I didn't know what specifically it was though.
Yeah, it really wasn't. I didn't even know about it. It's not a big deal. And you're right. It's only funny because it's the Mets. I don't think people outside New York even know or care.
Yeah. Anyways, back to what we were saying.
Yeah, back to the Reds. So when we thought we were playing 162, you thought they were going to win 92 games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot, dude.
It was a bold prediction. I feel like I had to have a very bold prediction with my picks, and that was it because I just feel the Cardinals seem like they won the division, and then they've been good, but it seems like every team is taking a step back. I mean, Brewers have the offense; they don't have the pitching. The Cubs just seem to be getting a little bit older. They still have some offense, but they're on the back end of it. They're championship in 2016. That was great for them, but it's been 4 years. Not to mention they had the whole contract dispute with Chris Bryant, who had filed that grievance, which I believe he lost.
I think he lost it too. Not a good look.
So I just thought it was going to be, the start of the Reds, who are looking to compete going forward with the signings of Moustakas and Castellanos and having Trevor Bauer and all of these guys. I thought that they were a pretty ballsy pick, but not a pick to he's crazy, more of a pick he may have a point here. So I mean the over under on all of these in the 60 games. I think I was reading something out of Vegas, the over under for the Dodgers was 34 and a half because of the 60 games. So everybody is going to be within I think the lowest I saw was maybe 26 and a half or something.
Yeah, so basically, Pat, you said the Dodgers were 34 and a half. That's essentially what you have the Reds at in your prediction, going back to February.
Hey,
like 92
you
games.
could just all the team needs to do is get on that hot start and stay hot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of teams are either first half teams or second half teams. This 60 game stretch is both. So we'll see what takes over.
Yeah, and I'm interested to watch them just because, like, I like watching Trevor Bauer. I like the personality of Trevor Bauer, and also like my conspiracy theory like alarm kind of went off because like Bauer has been very vocal with the league through like the COVID stuff and like the negotiations and everything. So I just wonder like how it's gonna. I hope he does well because I think if he doesn't do well, there's going to be some talks like maybe baseball is like teaming up against Trevor Bauer because I mean a lot of players have been vocal towards Manfred in the commissioner's office, um, but for some reason I just feel like Bauer kind of always has like this chip or like negative like shadow around him. So that's like one.
He's such a
He,
smart dude though.
he's too
Like,
smart for baseball. I think that's a problem. But like that's what I love
well,
about him.
no, it's a problem for the
Problem
MLB
for baseball.
offices.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I love.
Not in terms of the fan. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm saying yeah. He's too smart for his own good. Is how like Manfred and company will see him, and then the fans will see him as good. He's calling out the league on their bullshit, which you kind of have to respect.
Yeah, and I mean the Reds are a good pick honestly because the Central is going to be disgusting, right? Like they're three of the worst teams in baseball are going to be in the Central.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, because
the American League is combined, with them.
Yeah, everything is combined at this point. It's just East, West, and Central.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, the American League Central is the best team coming out of that is probably going to be the Twins, but
yeah.
I don't know if that means for a good transition to go with another team that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, do it.
Which is in the AL Central, and that's going to be the Chicago White Sox. And again, for those who have read my post from months ago, I said that the White Sox were going to finish second, just behind the Twins this year in the AL Central, because they too have a young, up and coming roster that looks like they're ready to compete. Jose Abreu signed his extension. You signed Yasmani Grandal. You signed, I believe it was Yohan Moncada, also got an extension. You have Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert, their top outfield prospect, who was expected to be the starting center fielder for them. And their pitching, they had, hopefully Michael Kopech coming up. Lucas Giolito was an all-star last year. He's going to ace that, be the ace of that rotation. Dylan Covey, and they also signed the veteran Gio Gonzalez. So I think they had the pieces to compete. Maybe not necessarily for a World Series, but I could definitely see them for a little bit of a wild card contention.
Yeah, the wild card's gonna be super tough, obviously, with the 60-game season.
Every game counts. There's no better way of saying it. Every game counts.
Yeah. So you originally, Pat, you thought 85 and 77 for the White Sox, so that puts them at about 31 to 32 wins this year under the 60-game season. Which I think I think the White Sox would be thrilled with that. Even if that doesn't make the playoffs, like I think that shows a very good step in the right direction.
Also think about how the schedule is going to be for a lot of these teams. It's going to be 40 within the division and then 20 with your like NL or AL counterparts. Division that the main team they'd have to worry about in that division is going to be the Twins. So if they can battle with the Twins, they have a good shot at not only making it to the top of the division, but getting into sneaking into the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why the White Sox shouldn't go above 500 to the Royals, Tigers, and Pirates, and that's at least 18 wins right there. So in order to get to 31, they would really need to win 13 more times. I think splitting with the Indians isn't out of the realm of possibility. So that's 18, right? That's 23 right there. So I think 31 is a reasonable number, especially since the Central is trash. I don't know if they would have got to 85. 85 is probably everything has to go right. But I think they'll benefit from the 60-game season, especially because they're so young, probably extremely hungry. They're ready to get out there. So I'm looking forward to it. And they have that guy who they signed but who hasn't played yet, right? Didn't they do
Luis Robert.
Yeah.
I think it was Luis Robert. Yeah, I mean, but he's considered one of the top prospects in baseball. They say this kid is going to be a star once he gets to to the field full time.
Do you like how the White Sox do that? Because I feel like they did that with Eloy Jimenez too before he even
They did that with
played. And
Eloy
now,
Jimenez. I mean, they're not the only team that did it. I mean, the Braves did it. They signed Albies and
and
Acuna
Acuna, yeah,
long before they were even arbitration eligible. So, I mean, if you're confident that these are going to be your guys and you want to lock them up, do what you got to do. Just most of these
yeah.
deals, if I'm correct, are going to be team-friendly deals. Because you look at what Acuna, I don't remember Acuna's specific numbers. I think it was like,
I'll look it
uh,
up.
yeah. Let's take a quick
But
look.
yeah, you're right. I mean, because they're not making like 30 million a year off the bat. They're just making more than like they would normally, but it's still a um, manageable
For
deal.
the amount that they would probably be getting on the open market, especially a guy like Ronald
Yeah,
Acuna Jr. Yeah, here it is. And in
8
April
for
of
100.
2019, 8 for 100 million. So that's what is that a year roughly?
About 12.
Yeah, guy like Acuna, when if he would have hit the open market, he'd probably be good for maybe 20, anywhere between 20 and 25 mil a year, if
Hmm.
depending on other factors, of course. But now, and they're going to get him a bargain at 12 mil a year. Like,
The part that sucks for Acuna's deal is that it's a 27-28 team option where he could have cashed in big like in that year. But
yeah,
I think the Braves will take care of him down the line. I don't think he'll have to worry about that.
nah, I mean, he's going to be a generational player for them. I don't think he's going anywhere, and they made sure of that. So
Yeah, it's
good for
just,
them. And he understands that maybe he needs the money now. He'll
mhm.
take what he can get now, and I don't know if there was any opt outs or anything. Probably not,
Not
but
I think just the team.
they took care of him now. Yeah, it was a lot less than he probably would have gotten on the open market, but he also wouldn't have hit the open market for another 3 or 4 years. So
It's
he's going to get paid now. So
it's still 100 mil, right? Like at the end of the day, it's fully guaranteed $100 million. Like I think Acuna is very happy with that deal, and I like how some teams have been doing that. I think it's funny that like the White Sox are a team that's really done it a lot because in theory, I think they're a team that's like in a big market but like kind of a small market at the same time.
yeah,
I
well, I mean
know
it's Chicago, but it comes down to
it's
how
not the
much their
Cubs
owners
though,
It's not the Cubs. Yeah,
right?
so I mean, you look at it almost like New York. I mean, I don't want to get like too into it, but you got the
No, we could
Yankees who are considered
we
that
could
big
stay
market
there.
team. Yeah, I mean the Yankees are considered that big market team, and the Mets are the little brothers who don't want to spend, so they play small ball, small market. It's almost the same thing out in Chicago.
Yeah, and we're gonna stay in New York because Pat, I'm not a Mets fan, so I can say I'm excited to watch the Mets, right?
Yes, you can.
And
Yes, you
I
can.
I am excited to watch the New York Metropolitans. I think this really helps them, to be quite honest. The 60 game season, not really just that, but also like the implementation of the DL. I think the Mets really needed that.
DH,
The D, yeah.
DH,
What did I say?
yeah,
Did I
DL.
the
You can't
DL?
say that no more.
Honestly,
You
yeah.
can't say that no more.
So yeah, it's been a long day. Damn, I'm not even halfway through this drink and I'm already making fucking speaking mistakes. That's great. But yeah, no, the implementation of the DH I think is key for them, and I'm
It
gonna
is.
let you speak a little bit more about that, given it's your team. But
Mm.
I just think of like a guy like Cespedes when he comes back, prime for the DH spot. Cano could take the DH spot. You guys have other players who are like younger and can field, but like aren't that great defensively. Who could maybe take
Mm.
the DH spot. I think you guys are set up pretty well to capitalize on it. My only concern is that I think losing Syndergaard really hurts in the 60 game season. I think you may have been able to like maneuver it in a longer season, but I kind of look at you guys like DeGrom and Stroman and like fingers crossed the rest of the days. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, going on to the DH, they have so many different options available to them. I mean, Robinson Cano is definitely option number one. They had even said when they traded for him that they were, the expectation that the DH would be in the NL fairly
Yeah.
shortly. They had that in the back of their minds when they did trade for him. Um, you have Yoenis Cespedes, who's probably not going to be able to play the field full time, if at all. So DH would be perfect for him. And then the young guys that you can look at, you guys, if he's not going to be in the outfield, you got J.D. Davis and Dom Smith, who both, Smith is kind of blocked where he is at first base. He did play some outfield in the spring. I'm sure he'll get some innings out there. But then let's say you want him to play first base, you can give Alonso the day off in the field, and then you could DH him. So there's a lot of different things that they can do, a lot of different players that they can use with the DH.
Yeah.
As far as the rotation, you're right. It's kind of after DeGrom, you got, DeGrom being 1A, you got Stroman being the 2. And then it's kind of, cross your fingers. You got Steven Matz, who, is good, but hasn't shown the potential that he has.
He's good in spurts, so maybe it'll be good for him.
It could be. And then you also got, Waka and Porcello, who they signed to 1-year deals. So both of them having the 1-year deals, you kind of hope maybe, it also comes down to how many starts these guys are going to get. I mean, DeGrom will probably only get, what?
Maybe 10.
Maybe. I'm too tired to do the numbers right now, to be honest.
I mean, 60 divided by 5 is 12, so 12
at least 10.
Is the conservative
maybe
number.
anywhere between 8 and 12 in terms of starts. But yeah, I mean, the rotation is a little bit frightening. I mean, it seems like we're always saying this. It's the bullpen, or the starting pitcher is supposed to be their strong suit. Well, Syndergaard definitely hurts. But now this is the time for a guy like Stroman to step up. I think he's on a contract year. He's looking to get some big money. Kind of hope that the Mets have some conversations with him, maybe keep him, especially knowing that Syndergaard is pretty much done in terms of, I don't know how much longer he's really going to be with the Mets, to be honest with you. So if they're not looking to go get him long-term, sign a guy like Stroman, who's only, 28, turning 29. So,
yeah. I mean, I love Marcus Stroman. We've talked about this before. He's 29. He just turned 29 2 months ago to the day. I follow him on Instagram. I know he's putting a ton of work in, with all of his mechanics, all of his pitching. He looks like he's in really good shape. He looks ready to go. Not that my eyeballs can really tell if someone's ready to go, but he looks ready to go to me. And yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just I know, I think, and I mean, you're the Met fan, so I don't know if you felt this, but I feel like when Stroman's on the mound, in a big game, he's probably going to show up.
I mean, he did it in the World Baseball Classic a few years ago.
Yeah.
He was probably arguably the best pitcher in that tournament. So yeah, I can trust him in a big game. Obviously, if it's a one game, it's going to be DeGrom.
Yeah.
But God forbid, DeGrom, couldn't go on short rest, and Stroman's there, ready to go. I have faith in Stroman to give you, good 5 solid innings or so, 5-6 solid innings.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. But I like Stroman. I kind of hope that they do keep him. They sign him, but I don't know what he's going to be asking for. I don't know what his market's going to look like, especially with the shortened season. The shortened season is probably going to change a lot. Well, maybe not a lot for some of the big name guys like a Mookie Betts or something, but these guys who are on the cusp of getting certain deals, these 60 games are 10 starts that they're going to get. It could mean the difference between a couple $1 million a year.
Yeah, it's going to matter for Stroman. It's not going to matter for a Mookie Betts, but it'll definitely matter for Stroman, I think. I saw the last Met point. I saw the other day on Twitter, someone tweeted him can't wait to see Stroman go game 1, and he replied back no, that's the GOAT DeGrom's day, but I'll be ready for game 2.
Yeah, so you gotta love it.
Everyone knows their place on the Mets. Jacob DeGrom.
Oh, he knows. He knows. Oh, he knows.
So Pat, another team. I think I want to do one more team. I'm excited to watch.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go to our next topic because they're pretty jam full today. It is a team the Mets are fairly familiar with. I think they had a playoff series against them the year that the Cubs won. Oh yeah, so that's the team, the Cubs.
Alrighty then.
I look at their staff, their pitching staff, Pat, and I think in a 60-game season, if they are all 90% of what they've shown they can be in their career, that this is a really dangerous team for the 60 games. Like, looking at you, Darvish, Kyle Hendricks, John Lester, Quintana, and Tyler Chatwood. I mean,
that's a pretty formidable rotation, especially in a 60-game season. Definitely.
Right, like they've been inconsistent for sure. I'm not here to say that these are the four best pitchers in baseball, but they're. I mean, when
They
they're
just
right,
need to.
when they're
They
right,
just
it's
need
a
to
tough.
show up.
It's a tough four.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They just need to show up, do what they got to do every fifth day, and then some. A guy like Darvish is probably going to be the quote unquote ace of that staff.
Yeah, I would make it Kyle Hendricks, but it'll probably be.
That's what I would. That's what I was about to say. Kyle Hendricks is the guy that is going to be key, because he's just put up absolute numbers for them, and he is going to be like the backbone of that pitching staff. So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting to see what they do, but again, it kind of almost seems like they are taking that step backwards. With just how their lineup look. I mean, obviously the lineup is still very good. Wilson Contreras, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Kyle Schwarber. So, I mean, we know what the offense is going to do, but it's really going to be that pitching that will determine how good the Cubs are going to be this year.
Yeah, and I feel like Kyle Hendricks is a guy that, like, people don't understand how good he has been.
I mean, I'm going to look up his numbers.
I have his career ERA up right now, Pat. His worst season was last year, coincidentally, with a 3.46. So he has a 3.14 career ERA for the Cubs. Like,
yeah, I mean, and he's only going to be entering his age 30 season too. I mean,
and he's on the. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm looking at his number. 2016, he had a 2.13 ERA. 2017, 3.03. 2018, 3.44, and then last year the 3.46. It's still very good numbers. He had 177 innings last year, 150 strikeouts. He's not a big strikeout guy, but his FIP was 3.61, which is pretty good. WHIP 1.130. So he's always kept his WHIP at around 1.1, X. So he's a very good pitcher, and I feel like a lot of people do overlook it. He's got some nasty stuff.
His 2016 was incredible. And number wise, he regressed from there because it's very hard to have your ERA go down from 2.13 and your ERA plus go up from 196. He received 23 MVP votes in 2016, but only 3 Cy Young votes, so that's backwards in my opinion, but whatever.
I think 2016 was the Jake Arrieta year, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just confirm that with you.
It was the Scherzer year.
Oh, was that Scherzer? I don't know why I thought that was Jake Arrieta. What year did
Jake Arrieta? that Scherzer year.
Oh, well, he's had so many.
Yeah.
Arrieta was 2015.
Yeah. So in 2016, Lester was second and Hendricks was third for the Cubs, and Arrieta was ninth.
Crazy, right?
What a year. Jose Fernandez was seventh. Rest in peace.
Oh God.
I'm not looking forward to watching the Marlins. That's for sure.
I mean, these 60 games are basically going to be throw their prospects out there, see what they got, get those old school guys who may be on those 1-year deals, just trying to put up some numbers, try and get another contract. It's just going to be a go out there and play kind of year.
Yeah. Speaking of going out there and playing, Pat, obviously with coronavirus happening and all of the Black Lives Matter and social initiatives that are rightfully going on, players are dropping out. I think players are mostly dropping out due to COVID. So, are you going to be one of those asshole fans that I see on Twitter, tweeting at players bro, I can't believe you're not fucking coming back because you're getting paid millions to play a sport so I could watch and be entertained for 3 hours of my life? Or are you going to be okay, cool?
I'm definitely not that. I'm definitely not the former. I'm basically, these guys, they have families. They have loved ones that they have to worry themselves with. A lot of these guys have, newborn babies or they're taking care of their parents or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to, if they don't want to have to feel like they're risking their health, to play a game, they don't have to. I mean, that's completely their prerogative. I know a few names that came to mind when we saw this. Ian Desmond is opting out. Ryan Zimmerman, who's pretty much, I think, is at this point his career is now over. He's going to go out on top with the championship he had last year, so good for him. He's not playing. Joe Ross, pitcher for the White Sox, isn't going to play. There was another one in there. I forgot who it was. But anyways, if they don't want to,
what about Charlie Blackmon? I feel like I heard him too.
I don't remember. I remember hearing him talk, but I remember him also saying he was talking about he's looking forward to coming back. So I don't know. I'd have to look him up again. But to anyone who's giving these guys shit, get a life. These guys have a family that they want to take care of. They don't want to have to worry about being away for X amount of months and then coming back, potentially putting their health at risk. So let these guys be. If they want to take the year off, let them take the year off. Hopefully all this stuff blows over by next year, and they can come into 2021, refresh. I'm sure they'll be working out as much as they can over the season, getting ready, everything like that. But if you're going to give them shit for not wanting to play the year because they don't want to risk anything with their kids or their wives or their parents or the rest of their families, that's completely their prerogative. They don't have to answer to you, so get over it.
I'm with you, Pat. I think what fans can do is if they come back next year and they get off to a really shitty start, if you want to connect the dot that it's because they didn't come back to play this year, go right ahead. And I'm not gonna care. But don't like tweet at them like, yo, you're a fucking soft asshole. Like, no.
I mean, this is why social media is so ridiculous. You got all these keyboard warriors who are ready to say whatever they want behind their screens. But I guarantee if they come face to face with half of these guys, they're going to be scared shitless.
Yeah. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets in basketball, they're like really affected by coronavirus, which is obviously being in New York is like kind of scary. I hope they didn't get it in New York. But I mean, DeAndre Jordan got it for the second time. So he's not going to Orlando.
Yeah.
That's concerning. Spencer Dinwiddie is another key player on the Nets. He's not going to Orlando now because he tested positive for COVID. And then like some more ancillary players on their roster also got it. And it's wild. I mean, you had a guy like Kevin Durant come out and say he wasn't going regardless of COVID. Like he was not going to play at all. Like because of COVID, he wasn't even going to show up, so he doesn't care. I mean, it's the NBA. I don't feel bad when people like will get mad at Kevin Durant for saying the shit he's saying, but for the most part, like just let these guys live their lives. Like they're actual people. They're not just
I feel like most fans forget that these guys aren't just larger than life athletes or superstars, celebrities. They are normal everyday people who also have families and other problems they may have that we don't know of. So who are we to judge what they do or don't do in their lives or how it affects their job? I mean, if it was, let's say it's you and me, you and me had the choice to go back to work right now, but we feel more comfortable just being home with our families, don't want to do anything, having to go into the city or wherever it is that we would work. No, it shouldn't affect anybody except me and my family. It shouldn't affect a random Joe Schmo who I don't even know, but you get what I'm getting at, right? Like, other people's decisions have no effect on your lives. I mean, especially some, superstar athlete or celebrity. Like, it has absolutely no effect. I don't see why people get so offended because they're deciding they don't want to go to work or something, or they don't want to play a game.
Exactly. So speaking about players dropping out, do we think this is even going to matter? Like, do you think like sports will be able to follow through with all their comeback plans? I mean, we're seeing spikes like everywhere.
We're seeing spikes everywhere, specifically in Florida, where NBA is supposed to be popping back up soon.
The West and the South are starting to really, I
mean, I don't know, man. It's honestly, at this point, we got to take it day to day. the plan, the implementation of these plans, they're out. We know what the leagues want to do and how they want to go about it, but everything could change, from one day to the next. So it's really tough to say how we think things are going to happen. I mean, especially with down in Florida and out in California and all of these things. I mean, right now I'm taking it day by day. I'm not looking any more. I'm not looking past July 2nd at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like when we came on, I think our first episode, like when baseball said like they were, they quote unquote agreed, even though they didn't agree, but they had a plan in place, or whatever. I said like, yeah, I'm really excited, but like I'll believe it when I see it. And I feel that way about I definitely feel the way about baseball. I don't feel that way about hockey. I think hockey will come back. And I think basketball is like, whether Adam Silver wants to admit it or not, I think basketball is in some jeopardy. I mean, given they're in Florida, they do have a bubble, but the employees are not in a bubble. Yeah. So, I mean,
I think right now basketball is, outside of baseball, but basketball I think is arguably in the biggest trouble because everything is going to be in Florida, and you already have several players who are coming up testing positive.
Yeah, I think basketball and baseball, because baseball is traveling. And there are literally teams in Florida. There are teams, and there's a team in Arizona. There are teams in these states that are having problems. Like, and you're gonna have to travel there. You're gonna have to live there if that's your home base. So yeah, I mean, I do think it's gonna be a very big concern. I mean, I hope the NBA comes back because that's the one like I'm most excited for. But like, I heard Buster Olney on, I think he was on Greeny's show on Get Up. I think last week or earlier this week, all the days get blended together at this point. But he said he thinks there is a 0 chance baseball finishes the season, and like a 5% chance that they even start. And that's just like
obviously Buster only saying it.
Yeah,
I mean he's pretty well respected in his profession.
Yeah, and obviously like now it would all be COVID. So like how mad could we get? No. But still, it would be so bad for baseball to get all this bad press. Yeah. Get to a point where we're gonna play, and then they're like, "No, now we can't," because like it'd be, oh wow, I can't even imagine that.
Real quick, don't have to get too into it. This can be for another day. Speaking of bad press for the MLB.
Oh, you're talking about Manfred's quote today?
Yes.
Yeah, that was gonna be this is dumb.
This is basically. I mean, we'll get into it, but
yeah,
get ready because the players' union will file a grievance. And basically, if you want to say to our listeners what exactly we're talking about, please.
We're gonna say it. I'm gonna add it to that. I'm gonna
say it to the end. Okay.
Yeah, because we're moving quicker than I thought we would move.
Yes.
So I think
keep in mind that quote, guys. Yeah, we'll get into this.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. I mean, look, obviously we want everyone to be safe, players, staff. Like, I don't want to give a definitive answer, but I think that it's more likely than not that all sports are not able to follow through on their comeback plans.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair stance.
As a fan, it would suck, but if it's strictly because of COVID, you have to understand it.
It's just wild because UFC like goes on without a fucking hitch, and they're like literally bleeding on each other the whole night. Like, I don't get it.
I mean, maybe it's just because there's literally 2 people competing compared to the 5 on the court, the 10 on the court. I guess,
but they share the octagon like the whole night.
True.
True. I don't know.
Like I said, I'm not looking. Take it day by day. Things could change at the drop of a hat. So right now, sports are scheduled to play. We'll see what happens tomorrow and the next day and the next day and so on.
All right, Pat. So where do you want to get sad, or do you want to talk about basketball?
Let's get sad because basketball maybe it might lift me up a little bit, but let's get sad.
Cam Newton signed with the Patriots, Pat. Yeah. This is basically what Jet fans were afraid of happening. Patriots get their way again the same day that they were fined for some fucking scandal thing, whatever. But look, we thought the Patriots' reign was going to end this year. I don't think we believed in Jarrett Stidham.
I gotta be honest.
But Cam Newton's better than Jarrett Stidham.
I didn't fully believe in the end of a Patriots reign until we saw what they did on the field, because I've been saying it. This is going to be a year where we find out who needed who more. Did Brady need Belichick, or did Belichick need Brady? And I thought Belichick could have done God only knows what with the given roster that he had. Now he goes and signs Cam Newton, and he could probably do a bunch of different things right now. Because Cam Newton is a kind of quarterback who can run, who can throw. He's got the big body, everything like that. So I think did I think the division was up for grabs? Yes.
Well, the Jets weren't going to win it, Pat, but it was up for grabs.
I think it was up for grabs. I think a lot of people thought if any team was going to kind of jump that make that transition to the top of the division, it was going to be the Bills.
Yeah.
The Jets were on a rise. Dolphins, they're still maybe a year or two away, depending on what if they have Tua behind center and how he even pans out. And then people are just wondering what the Patriots are going to do. Can continue to be good with Belichick still leading the way, even though he doesn't have Brady. Now he gets a former MVP. People forget that Cam Newton is an MVP quarterback. And I think we're going to see some magic come again from New England, unfortunately. Do I think it's necessarily going to culminate into a division title? No. But we might see some fireworks in New England, even with the departure of Brady, because Bill Belichick is still the head coach. He's still making the plays. He's still calling the plays. And now he's got a younger, more versatile, more athletic quarterback in Cam Newton behind center.
Yeah, I mean, Josh McDaniels, I think, is going to have a field day with Cam Newton, to be honest. I want to shout out Chris Perkowski because he texted me as soon as the news broke. He said, "I think it's important to note that I called Cam to the Patriots just from the beginning." And while I don't know if it's important to note that, I do want to give Perkowski his props on it.
Thanks, Perkowski, for sticking that dagger into the Jets fans' backs a little deeper.
Fucking Giant fans, Pat, they're the worst.
They have two Super Bowls, all right?
At least we don't have Matt Dodge, right? That's what it comes down to. But yeah, I mean,
we had Tremaine Johnson, but thank God he's gone.
But look, I mean, Cam Newton is an obvious upgrade at the most important position on a football field, at least on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, it's a little scary. I mean, they still don't have a great receiving core, so he still needs guys to throw the ball to. But I think they have a really good backfield now, especially given that Cam can run can run a lot. And I just think Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick are creative enough to make this a huge problem for the NFL and specifically the AFC East. And they still should have a pretty good defense, so they'll have good defense, the ability to control the clock, and you'll have one of, if not the greatest coach in NFL history on the sideline. On top of it, it's not looking good. This is not the news that anyone in the AFC East wanted to hear, especially for a fucking league minimum. I think it's absurd. Yeah. So I think it's the same deal as Andy Dalton, and I think I'd much rather Cam Newton than Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to be, the Patriots of old, obviously, because it's not Brady and Belichick. But Cam Newton's still, a good quarterback. He's going to be put into a team that's known for winning. With Belichick calling the shots. It's not ideal, but we'll see. It should be an interesting year. I think it's going to be more competitive than obviously we've seen in recent years in the AFC East. But it's definitely, I don't know if it's necessarily up for grabs now. But
I think it's still between the Bills and the Patriots. But
it's still kind of between them.
This is a good question, Pat. Who do you want? Who do you like more? Do you like Cam Newton more or Josh Allen more? Because they're almost kind of the same style, right?
Yeah, I don't know the other teams too well, but I believe the Bills are younger, and I feel like they're a little more hungry. I think they made the playoffs last year, right? Did they make the first round? The
Yeah,
wild card round? They did, yeah.
they lost to the Texans.
Yeah, that was right. Josh Allen, very good quarterback. He's been working out constantly. I think he's been working out in Cali with Sam Darnold because the two of them are actually good friends now.
You know what? As long as Sam Darnold doesn't get fucking coronavirus, like,
dude, he already had mono. If he got, I'd rather him get corona at this point than he had mono. Then we had to make fun of that.
Has there been anything more certain than just feeling like Sam Darnold is going to get coronavirus? Like, and knock on wood that doesn't happen. Like, I don't want that to happen to the kid, but like, just given his track record, is there anything like death taxes and Sam Darnold getting some weird ass fucking illness is basically a guarantee in life?
All right. Well, let's not jinx ourselves here. All right. Let's move on to the next topic.
It's just upsetting. Yeah, and we are going to move on to the next topic. This one makes me very happy, Pat. And I did an Instagram live with Cassidy a little while back at _end of the bench on Instagram for those who would like to go back and watch it. We saved it as an IGTV. So, and we kind of got onto a rant. This was really, I don't want to say at the peak of the Black Lives Matter like protests and everything, because they're still, alive and well. They're still going on, rightfully so, in my opinion. And it's definitely not being forgotten, which is great. And the NBA players, specifically, Kyrie Irving, was kind of leading the way and saying, well, I don't think it's right for us to come back. Then Dwight Howard chimed in agreeing, and then people said Kyrie was being an idiot or, yada, yada, yada. And it got me to saying, like, what if the NBA put, like, Black Lives Matter on the court? Like, every single court that they played at, and that is exactly what was announced they were going to do. So, essentially, every court will say Black Lives Matter. I don't think it's going to be abbreviated. I think it'll literally say the words, which is extremely powerful. For one, when you were viewing it live, hopefully. But two, Pat, do you know there's this famous picture from the '68 Olympics, right? Obviously, we were not born, but Tommy Smith and John Carlos, they raised their right. Okay, so absolutely. That's a picture, 1968. Pat, we were not even a thought in our parents' mind at that point. Honestly, most people listening to this podcast, besides my dad and mom and whoever older generation we have, thank you for listening, but most of the listeners probably weren't even a thought in their parents' mind then either. Yeah. But we all know the picture that I'm talking about. I can almost guarantee it with 100% certainty. Yeah. And I think that these NBA courts are going to have the same lasting image, because when you think of it, and you're a PR guy, so I think you'll appreciate this. I told Cassidy, like, the reason why companies like pay so much for sponsorships and are willing to pay so much to sponsor like these teams and, be on the wall of Yankee Stadium or Citi Field is not so much for the right away impact, but the fact that there will be a picture that will live on the internet forever for it. Mm-hmm. And you will always see that company. And I think that it means a lot in terms of this, like, Black Lives Matter will literally, this moment in time should never be forgotten anyway. But sport fans, especially basketball fans, are going to have a very hard time just forgetting this and putting it on the back burner, because they're literally going to see it live every game. And it's going to be in every single picture. Like, you already know, you could see the Instagrams now of like players after games posing like right next to it or something, and it's going to be incredibly powerful. And I'm super proud of the NBA and whoever was involved in making this decision, because I think it's just the best sports decision that we've heard since COVID. And that's including them coming back, in my mind.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I'll be honest, several years ago when the whole the Kaepernick thing and everything began, I kind of just, like, I don't want to talk about that. I didn't want to put politics in my sports. I watch my sports to get away from the politics and everything. But, as the years have gone on and everything that has occurred and you see what's happening,
you kind of realize it's not just a political movement; it is a social movement. And
Yeah.
one, if any league is actually going to support the movement here, it's going to be the NBA, where it is a predominantly the athletes are of color. So if they're not the ones doing it, I don't see any other sport that would have done it. But it is great. Like you said, it is going to have a lasting image on a lot of people.
Yeah.
You see a lot of these social, these pictures of the '68 Olympics, and you see Muhammad Ali in like third world countries and all of that. You kind of realize that the activism in sports isn't just it's not just Kaepernick. This has been happening since the '40s, the '50s, or whatever. I mean, Jackie Robinson was an activist in a sense because he was trying to open the eyes to the country that we can play the sports, the ability of the white players that are here now, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be playing this game. I'm going to have to pry this game from my cold dead hands, whatever it may have been. But yeah, I mean, you got all these pictures. I think I'm with you there. It definitely is going to have a lasting impression. And you see so many big name NBA stars like LeBron James, just showing their support, doing what they can, using the platform that they have to do that. I know some people may not like it, but if you're a fan of the NBA, you have to appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah. I totally agree. And then the second part of it, Pat, is that the NBA is allowing players to put social initiatives on the back of their jersey.
Yeah.
The only player that I've heard already came out with what he was going to put on it was Spencer Dinwiddie, and we talked about him earlier, how he has COVID and is most likely not going to be going to Orlando, so that's kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
He was gonna Spencer Dinwiddie he wears the number 26, and he was gonna put trillions on his back. And ironically enough, that is the amount of debt that the U.S. has. So when he released it, I didn't know what it meant, and I just looked it up as you were talking. I don't really want to talk about it. I thought trillions was maybe something related to I don't want to say something more important than our national debt, but given the tone of what the NBA is doing, it is significantly less important. But yeah, I mean, whatever the NBA literally just doesn't do a whole lot wrong when it comes to letting their players, express themselves and really just reading the room of their players and their players association. Obviously, they had the debacle with China earlier this season with Daryl Morey, but and how China is very important to the NBA, and they don't really get involved with all the bad there, but they have always been aware of the problems that are going on in this country and really giving their players free reign to use their platform.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that was really my point with Cassidy. I said, there's no reason why the NBA players shouldn't play in feet because they fear like the message getting lost. Because at the end of the day, the NBA will never fine you for talking like freely about stuff that's important to you. They'll fine you if you talk shit about a ref or like curse them or whatever. But it's not like it's not like these other leagues who like quote unquote censor their players in press conferences. Like Adam Silver will not do anything like that.
It goes back to sometimes some things are. Yeah, no, like I was saying, it just goes back to some things are bigger than sports. Years ago, not super long ago, I was a guy who liked to keep my sports separate because I use sports as a gateway to kind of just let any of the real world problems that I'm having just go away. I can sit down, watch a game, not have to worry about that stuff. But after I attended school, for those who may not know or do know, I had my master's in PR. Everything that was going on with Kaepernick and all that was big at the time. And it really did open my eyes, and I'm happy to say that I did. My view of it did change. And we do have to realize that these guys are they are human beings, so they are allowed to have an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And they can use these platforms to make these changes, these social changes, political changes, whatever it may be. But what really gives the message, what really makes the message powerful, is that they truly believe in what they're saying. And a lot of these guys, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything, they do believe in every word that they are saying and everything that is coming out. And that is what really makes the message as powerful as it is. Like, if they're just saying it, to jump on the bandwagon, to get involved, that doesn't do much. These guys are allowed to have these opinions as U.S. citizens, or as, guys who are seen as role models to so many millions of American kids, or kids worldwide, I should say. So as long as what they're saying they truly believe in, absolutely let them say what they want to say. I mean, we don't want them, as long as it's not anything, that turns out to be racist or, homophobic or those various things, obviously, because that's stuff we don't want to hear. I mean, if that's how you want to feel, fine, but stuff like that, definitely don't say what you're saying, because then you're just going to get nothing but hate. But those guys who are trying to spread, the love and the passion and everything like that for these movements, they're allowed to do it as long as they believe in the message. They're doing stuff to show that they care. Let them say what they want to say.
Yeah, I think I'm really happy that we covered this, because it's something the show really hasn't talked about at all. But I think it's important that we brought it up. I mean, I'm all on board with it, and I think, Pat, what you said was great. It's amazing that the players feel that strongly about it. I also, quite frankly, I feel it's really great that a bunch of old white guys also feel the same about this, in the NBA, being the owners and everything. I think it's a positive sign. I hope
you've come a long way from what Donald Sterling said not that long ago.
Yeah, I hope other leagues can find a way to follow suit. I mean, I understand that NBA is. I mean, it's different in that it's definitely predominantly African American. I think the NFL is also predominantly African American.
Yes, NFL, NBA, the MLB is, I believe, predominantly players of Hispanic descent.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool if the NHL did it, because they're predominantly not white, European, whatever. I think it'd be really cool if they did it, but it's a story for another day. We're gonna wrap this up pretty soon, so I want to get to the "This Is Dumb" segment.
Yeah.
For those who don't remember, this is a little segment Pat and I do from time to time. Stupid alerts that we get throughout the day from Bleacher Report. And Pat, I got one today that I figured we were going to bring up on this episode.
Oh yes.
Why don't you share, because you tried to bring it up earlier, so I'll let you take it.
Alrighty. So basically, as everyone knows, the MLB offices of Commissioner Rob Manfred have been going back and forth with the Players Association, trying to get a deal done to get the guys back on the field and everything like that. We've seen different proposals where players sent, 114 games, 70 games, whatever it may have been. Well, Rob Manfred, being the genius commissioner that he is, decided to go on, I believe it was ESPN Radio, and basically say that no matter how negotiations were going, no matter what was implemented, no matter what was
I have the quote,
proposed,
Pat, if you want me to read it.
Say the quote.
Rob Manfred says 2020 season was never going to be, quote, more than 60 games, no matter how the negotiations went, end quote. That doesn't sound like good faith, Pat.
Mr. Manfred, you just opened the door for a grievance against your ass. And the Players Association will definitely be filing said grievance, and you are in quite a lot of trouble, because you basically just admitted, yeah, we weren't really negotiating good faith. We were not going to allow anything more than what we said. So we weren't really listening to a word they were saying. So good job. You're an idiot. And, enjoy that grievance.
It's what I said in the beginning, when we were really, breaking down the baseball problems. I think I may have had – I don't know if I had you on when we were talking about it. I think it may have been Perkowski when we did the Rob Manfred Sucks episode. But like, I just don't understand why the MLB signs off on him saying this stuff. Like, I don't like because people say Rob Manfred is a puppet, and that's fine. I understand that. But,
Yes.
but this is not a good thing for a puppet to say. That means he was told to say this.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like this is a much bigger problem than Rob Manfred.
And here is another step as to the reason there will be a strike. And I am fully prepared for it. Like, honestly, these 60 games, I said this last week, enjoy the 60 games because at this point we don't know how the state of the game, how the state of Major League Baseball is going to be in going forward. So if this 60 games do happen, God willing, coronavirus doesn't, cut this shorter or anything like that, enjoy it, fans, because we got to be prepared to not see baseball again for quite some time after.
We're gonna save so much money on tickets, Pat. It's gonna be fucking absurd. Like, I'm just thinking now.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Like, I go to like 20
Honestly,
games
I
a
probably
year, so
I'll save more money on the beer and the food you buy in the stadium. Because I end up buying $15 tickets. I spend more on beer and food than I do the actual tickets.
yeah, I only drink in Yankee Stadium when I'm with Allie, but any other time, I'm not really drinking.
That's why you pregame, always pregame.
Yeah, pregame on the subway with everyone else.
Yeah, you can't really pregame at Yankee Stadium. Citi Field's got that old wide open lot.
No, you gotta go either drink on the train or like the bars around the stadium. But I mean, that's that's not cheap.
No, there's no actual lot for Yankee Stadium. I believe it's kind of like parking garages, right?
Yeah, it's parking garages. I'm not gonna lie, me and Allie tailgate in the parking lot by ourselves sometimes.
Can you park? Can you tailgate in those garages or no?
I mean, I don't know if you can, but like we do it.
Oh. Well, alrighty
then. If you have a $20 bill on you, Pat, you can probably do anything you want. To be honest,
that's very true.
It's kind of a motto I live by. So Pat, did you finish your 2 drinks or what?
I did, pretty much. Yeah, I pretty much chugged this shit.
Yeah, I hope our listeners listen to us. Maybe we should do this more often.
We should.
I think we'll do 3 drink minimums when we're feeling real good and don't have to go back to work after we record.
Well, yeah, both you and I have some work to do. So yeah.
Yeah, but that'd be good. I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I think that's it. Do you have anything else you wanna talk about?
I just want to wish all of our listeners a happy and healthy 4th of July. Wherever you guys may be spending it.
Yes.
Be safe. Drink if you're drinking. Drink responsibly.
2 drink minimum.
2 drink minimum. And just hopefully enjoy some fireworks, and hopefully we don't hear much of them after the 4th, because kind of starting to get sick of them. Personally, hearing them every single day nowadays.
Yeah, I'm not a big firework fan, even on the 4th of July. I think I'm just a fucking weirdo like that. But
yeah, that's weird.
I'm gonna buy a couch this weekend, Pat. So I don't know how much fun I'm gonna have doing that. But that's
where are you going for the couch?
I don't know. I think Bob.
Oh, good choice. Good choice. Bob's good stuff.
Yeah, it's the only thing I have to buy for my apartment, so I don't, we'll...
Oh, yes, and congratulations to our fearless leader, Scott Castellano, on his signing of his lease. He will be moving into his own place. Congrats on that, my good friend.
I had to get internet, so I had to text Wandy. I was like, is this going to be good enough for, my podcasting, or do I have to get, the most expensive fucking plan there is? But he said I was good. The Wandy Watch doesn't fuck
I already told Katie when we get our place, I don't care how much, we're just getting the best possible Wi-Fi, because I'm not dealing with any breakouts or anything. I mean, luckily we're good today, but I'm getting the best possible Wi-Fi.
You froze during part of it, but I was giving a soliloquy, so I think it'll work out.
Perfect.
But yeah, whenever we do, that's a good point, Pat. We do have not a lot, but we do have technical difficulties. So if you ever want to watch the unedited version of the show, go to YouTube, because I don't know how to edit the video. I only edit the audio. So if you want to see some bloopers, just head over to YouTube and watch me and Pat just stare at each other aimlessly for 5 seconds when we disconnect from each other.
It's a lot of fun. Enjoy it.
Pat, thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
we're gonna sign off here. Follow us on Instagram at @the_on_the_bench, Twitter at @theEOTB. Want to be a monthly supporter? The support link is in the description. Half your donation goes to No Kid Hungry. We just contributed to another 500 meals yesterday, which brings us to around 2,000 so far for the year, which is good.
That's great.
Yeah, so thank you guys for the support. Thank you for listening, watching. Give us a 5-star review, subscribe, all the good stuff. Pat, I'll see you later, man. I'm sure I'll see you on the 4th for something.
I'm sure you will at some point, yeah.
All right, man. I'll see you.
Take care, bud.